Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Sharon Let's Live with Marlene Dillon Empowerment Specialist. So my friend Val posted earlier today about how when we are efforting to make things happen, how God will take a back seat and let us. And it made me think about the concept of free will. And, you know, if you don't believe in all that spiritual stuff, then this probably will be a little weird for you. But I do believe that the universe supports us. I do believe that there are forces and entities, etc., that help us along our way, whether it's loved ones that have passed on or ascended masters such as like Jesus or Buddha or, people like that, angels, etc. I believe that there are forces that do support us. And the more that I believe that, the more that I see evidence of it. I recognize that when it comes to utilizing our imagination and shifting from the push, efforting that we're used to make things happen in our lives. And it's not that we don't have to do any effort, and it's not that we don't have to do any work. But what I'm learning is that that when I sit back and rest in the knowing that it's going to work out, that ideas come to me of what to do rather than me pushing and forcing things. And basically I've kind of lived most of my adult life like how people test pasta where they pull it out the pot and throw it against the wall. Like if it sticks, it works, it's good. That's kind of how I've been doing life, like a whole lot of efforting and throwing stuff at the wall. Like, did that work? No. Okay, let's try this. But what I know for sure is that the times when I was just like, I don't know what to do. I know what I want, but I don't know how to make it happen. And I'm trusting that God, somebody, source, the angels, whoever, will make this happen for me because I can't do it. Like just the giving up. And I actually just saw a post. It was Abraham, if you're familiar with Abraham Hicks. I've learned a lot from them. So Abraham Hicks had a quote that said something like that we love it when you all have impossible situations because you finally do the one thing that allows everything to come together. And that's my paraphrase. And I've seen it happen. I always use the tuition example because I know that for sure. It's something that I experienced where I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this private education tuition. But I need it to happen. And I tried figuring it out and forcing it and making money appear and all that kind of stuff. I worked so hard at it and it was killing me. And then I just gave up because I was like, I just can't keep up with this. It's stressing me out every month with these payments. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I quit. And then I received an email that said I received a full scholarship. And the crazy thing about it is that I was checking my email every day and I never saw that email. And I noticed it on a Thursday or a Friday, but the email was sent on Monday or Tuesday. So because I was in a vibration of this is impossible, how is this ever going to happen? I can't figure it out. I didn't have access to the answer. But the second I gave up, flowed right in. And I think that that's what happens with our doubts and our panicked efforts to make stuff happen, like being in a spirit or the emotion of desperation, that we block the opportunity for the things we want to happen. And that's actually perfect timing for me because right now I'm back in one of those situations like, how do I make this happen? How do I make this happen? I got to make this happen, and totally freaking out, totally not relying on the universal supports that I know are available to me because of the many times that I've experienced this. I am doing the same thing that I always do or have always done. And it's time for me to, I'm laughing and pausing because I looked up and I have a one wall that I've painted with chalkboard paint, like that black paint that, allows you to write on it with chalk. And as I was saying this, I looked up and saw believe. So, so yeah, I've done everything except believe. And what I know now is that when I release stuff, like when I let it be, when I accept that maybe this one is outside of my control, maybe I need more support than I can give myself, that things have a way of happening. And it's really usually because I just gave up. Like, there's nothing more I can do about this. How is this going to work out? And I just say, like, look, I got nothing. And then all of a sudden the answers just like flow in. I was sharing with her in the comments on her post that I have experienced it. Like, my book, I'm Proud to Be Natural Me, which is an empowering book for children that you should definitely check out on my website. Been trying to get it into the Chicago Public Library system, like one library at a time, talking to the person at the desk, like giving them free copies of my book as if I had the money to do that, hoping that they will just get it into the library system. And it never was. I would check, and it was like no record. Like, I think those librarians were taking them home for their kids. So, or maybe they just, left it on the desk for everyone to look at when they wanted to. But yeah, it just wasn't working. And then one day I had an inspired thought. I was taking my daughter to the library, the Woodson Library, if you're familiar with Chicago. It's a beautiful, huge, African-American themed library in Chicago, on Chicago's South Side. I was taking my daughter there because that was my library. Like, I preferred it to other ones. And they were under renovation, and I didn't know. So when we got there, I was like, dang it, where am I going to go? I told her I would take her to the library. So then I remembered that there was another library that was like, nobody would know it existed unless they lived in the neighborhood. So I go to this library, and as I'm preparing to walk in or preparing to get out the car, I, have this urging for me to bring my book with me. And I'm just like, why? But I've been in this position enough times to just say, okay, and just follow that inner guidance. So I go into the library, and I'm like waiting for further instructions. And I'm just like, okay, now I just heard that I'm supposed to bring this book in here. What do I do now? And it's like complete silence within. Like, my mind, especially with ADHD, like, it's never quiet in my head. It was completely silent, like tumbleweeds coming by. I'm like, hello, what do I do next? So I was just like, let me walk up here and maybe ask for the children's librarian. Like, I don't know. So yeah, so I'm just like, is there a children's librarian here? And they're just like, oh yeah, she's over there. And they like point to her on the other side of the room, sitting at her computer. So I'm walking over to her very slowly because I'm just like, dude, are you going to give me further instruction or what? I'm about to approach this woman and I have absolutely no idea why I'm here or what I'm supposed to say. So I walk up to her and I'm just like, are you the children's librarian? And she says yes or whatever. And then I'm still waiting for further instructions and don't receive them. So I was just like, well, I'm a children's author and this is my book, and kind of like shove it at her. And to my surprise, she was fascinated by my book, immediately fascinated. And we ended up talking forever. And she was just like the biggest fan. And then I, told her on my website, I have printables, like, coloring sheets. And if she wants to print out coloring sheets for the kids, that she can do that for free. Those are still available on my website, on my resources page. So you can print them out for free too. But yeah, so she's just like, oh my goodness, that's so great. I'll have the kids color them and it'll be wonderful. And she's just like in her happy place. And I'm in my like, whoa, did that really just happen place? And the happy place. And we're just bonding or whatever. Fast forward. She asks me, if my book is in the library. And I'm like, no, I've been trying, but I haven't been able to get it in there. And she's just like, well, you need to try this, you need to try that. So I'm just like, okay, let me get back to doing what I've been doing that wasn't working. And finally one day, I reached out to her and I was like, look, I'm not hearing back from them. I give up. I tried. Thank you for your support. And one, so I just went on with my life. And then one day I was trying to like make things happen in other areas of my business. I was just having an extremely frustrating day to the point where I was just like, F it, and took a nap midday. And then I woke up and the first thought I had was to check my email. I don't really like email. So checking my email first thing is not what I do. But I was inspired to do so. So I go and check my email and I have a message from her saying, your book is now available in 16 libraries in the Chicago Public Library System. What? I mean, what? Seriously, rereading the email in complete disbelief. Immediately I go on my library app, pull up the name of my book and see that it is legit in the system in multiple libraries. 16 different libraries. And I was floored. I had efforted all I could. And then I just gave up. And it flowed in. And now, as I'm telling this story, as I'm sharing this with you, I realized that while I was doing that work, while I was doing all my efforting, I use the word efforting, spiritual people tend to make up our own words. I don't know if that's a real word. And don't care. So, but while I was efforting, I was thinking, no one's going to get my book. I hope they put the book in there, but I don't see them putting the book in there. The book should be in there, but I don't know if they're going to do it. I did not have positive expectation while I was doing all that work. And that's exactly what I got. Absolutely no progress. She, on the other hand, was pushing for the book to be in the libraries with complete knowing that it belonged in the goddamn library. She had no doubt in her mind. It was like an absolute fact that it belonged there. We were coming from two different imaginations. She was imagining one thing, I was imagining something different, and our efforts produced different results. So when I first started talking on this recording, I was coming from the place of when the universe wants, the universe is available to support us. However, when we are trying to make it happen, we have free will. So if we're trying to make it happen, that means that we don't need help or we're not ready for help. So until we actually surrender, that help is available, but not being given. And that's what I was thinking about when I saw her post. And now the additional layers to it are, while we're efforting, what are we imagining? While we are seeking help, what are we imagining? Do we see ourselves as someone who receives the help? Do we see ourselves as ones who things work out for, where the universe aligns and all things work out for our good? Do we say those words and actually believe them? So my challenge for you today and for myself is to begin to pay attention to what am I imagining as I'm doing this work, especially for entrepreneurs and, if you're an artist and you're trying to promote what you're doing. When we're thinking nobody wants to hear us, nobody is interested in what we're doing, there are plenty other people out there doing this kind of work, why would they choose me? That is a completely different energy than what I have is valuable. Somebody can benefit from what I have, or somebody will love it. There are people out there just like me who have an appreciation for what I'm creating. We have to shift what we're imagining to get more of what we want in our lives. And that's what I am committed to doing now. And I love that I went out on this whim for me, but this following this guidance to start a series on imagination, even though I'm learning as I'm teaching. And I'm beginning to see things coming together. And I just think that it's beautiful that you're on this journey too. And I hope that you're gaining from this, because that's the reason I'm sharing it. You know, the reason it's called Share and Let's Live is because I believe that when we all share our gifts, that we all get to live more enriched and value-filled lives. We all have something to offer. That's why we're here. That's my belief. So my desire is to share my journey of accepting what I have to offer, figuring out how to get it out there, working through the challenges and the beliefs and things like that, and letting you witness that so that you know that it's possible for you too. Allowing you to see me on the journey, not just when I make it, but the process along the way. Because a lot of times when a person makes it, they forget. They might remember snippets of like, oh, that was hard, that was hard, that was hard. But the step by step, a lot of times that's lost. So I'm showing you as I do it, and I hope that you're growing along with me. This is Marlene Dillon Empowerment Specialist. Thank you for imagining with me. Have an amazing whatever time of day it is for you. Blessings. To learn more about me, Marlene Dillon Empowerment Specialist, please visit mdillondesigns.com. There you can find more podcast episodes. You can read my inspirational blog. You can check out my online store of personalized gifts featuring the characters from my empowering children's book, I'm Proud to Be Natural Me. You can find parenting resources, including my online communication course, Healing Our Families, Healing the Parent-Child Relationship. Please follow and share if you found this podcast inspiring. Thank you and have an amazing day.